This is Marla Handy's story, shared with psychiatrist Frank Ochberg. Frank Ochberg is a psychiatrist and the former associate director of the National Institute of Mental Health and a member of the team that wrote the medical definition for post-traumatic stress disorder. He was the editor of America's first PTSD treatment text and is a recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award from the International Society for Traumatic Stress Studies. Marla lives with chronic and complex PTSD, a result of child abuse by a family member, and further trauma from a predator when she was a young adult. She has just published an enlightening book titled No Comfort Zone that describes what occurred and how she copes.
This is not a memoir. I don't know you well enough for that. In fact, I'm not sure I know my own past well enough for that. This is about my today, my everyday. I want you to know something about what it's like to live my life. I often don't react to life's events like most of you, and the roots of my reactions aren't obvious. I have post-traumatic stress disorder, a condition most often associated with war veterans. Unfortunately, it is also prevalent here on the home front, among those of us who have seen the really ugly side of life. Sex abuse, rape, captivity, exploitation, the threat of harm to loved ones. We get damaged in the same way. It just takes us longer to get diagnosed. You know, the book actually started out as an essay, and it's what became the second chapter of the book, which is Comfort and Fear. And it was my attempt to some degree explain to myself how I felt different from other people. And a lot of my own teaching and training and management training and such always uses the term comfort zone as that's the default safe place, and you know, in order to grow, in order to move, you got to get beyond that. Somehow staying in your comfort zone is a negative. The fact is, I don't think that there is a comfort zone.
And I think a lot of people have the fantasy that they can go home and home will be safe. You know, soldiers dying on the battlefield are calling for mother. They want that safe nest. Your nest was not safe.
At the breakfast table one morning, my father ended a seemingly calm discussion with my mother by throwing a cup of scalding hot coffee into the face of my younger sibling, who was sitting in a high chair next to him. He never even looked at the baby. As my mother jumped up to care for their screaming child, he said something to the effect of, "I told you I was done talking about this," and walked off. I felt guilty because I hadn't been paying enough attention to stop this from happening. We were all supposed to watch out for the baby. I knew that. I was 8 or 9. I have a very clear sense of having broken at a certain age and through a series of experiences. I had sexual abuse and other traumatic experiences at a younger age, but right around 12, 13, I broke. And to me, that means the past and the present sort of split. And sometimes the past would take over the present. And my sense of continuity in time started feeling chopped up. Life became more random, or I experienced it as more random, and I experienced my reactions to it as more random.
Can I pick up on that? I mean, there's an Antonovsky who writes about a sense of coherence. And coherence perhaps is something we take for granted. A sense that it all makes sense, and that we make sense, and that there's some march through time, and the past precedes the present, and you look forward to a future. That all of that has its place and its rhythm and its harmony, and you trust it.